Dr. Jiwoo pressed her face against the observation window of the research vessel. Stars stretched endlessly before her, but her attention fixed on the green and blue planet below. The ship's computer had labeled it KX-447, but Jiwoo thought it deserved a better name, something that captured the wild beauty of its jungle-covered surface. "You're staring again," Bora said, walking up beside her with a tablet in hand. The engineer smiled knowingly. "You want to go down there?" Jiwoo nodded. "The readings show complex life, maybe even intelligent life. We can't just pass by without investigating." "Captain Daeho won't like it," Bora warned. You know how he is about protocol. Jiwoo did know. Captain Daeho had commanded the Horizon's Edge for 15 years, and he followed every rule in the book. But Jiwoo also knew he had a soft spot for scientific discovery. She just had to present her case carefully. She found him on the bridge studying navigation charts. His gray hair and weathered face told stories of decades in space. When he saw her approaching, he sighed. "The answer is no," he said before she could speak. "You haven't heard my question yet," Jiwoo protested. "You want to land on KX-447, the answer is still no." Daeho looked at her seriously. "Do you know what species lives down there?" Jiwoo hesitated. She had checked the galactic database. "The Ralkesh, exactly, the Ralkesh." Daeho pulled up an image on his screen. A massive reptilian creature filled the display, covered in dark scales and sharp claws. "They've destroyed 7 exploration teams in the last decade. They don't negotiate, they don't communicate, they just attack." "But this settlement looks abandoned," Jiwoo argued, showing him her own scans.
"No heat signatures.
No movement. Whatever happened there, the Ralkesh are gone." Daeho studied her data for a long moment. Jiwoo could see him wrestling with the decision. Finally, he nodded slowly. 3 hours, he said. "You take Bora and 2 security officers. At the first sign of danger, you come straight back. Understood?" Jiwoo grinned. "Understood, Captain." 2 hours later, Jiwoo stood in the middle of an alien village. Strange buildings made of woven plants and hardened mud surrounded her. Everything stood silent and empty. Wind whistled through abandoned structures, creating an eerie sound. "This place gives me chills," said Han Sol, one of the security officers. He kept his weapon ready, eyes scanning constantly. Bora knelt beside a strange device. Their technology is fascinating. Primitive in some ways, but incredibly efficient. They've adapted everything to their environment. Jiwoo moved deeper into the village. Her scientific curiosity pulled her forward despite the unsettling atmosphere. She found what looked like a central building, larger than the others. Inside, she discovered walls covered in scratches that might be writing. And in the back room, something that made her heart race. "I found a nursery," she called out. The room contained several large nests made of soft plant fibers. Small toys carved from wood lay scattered on the floor. Everything suggested young ones had lived here recently. But like the rest of the village, it stood empty. Jiwoo began recording everything with her scanner. This was incredible data. No human had ever studied a Ralkesh nursery before. She moved carefully through the space, documenting each detail. That's when the alarm on her wrist device began screaming. "Contact! Multiple hostiles incoming." Han Sol's voice cracked through her communicator. "We need to move now." Jiwoo ran for the door. Outside, she saw them. Ralkesh warriors, at least 20 of them, emerging from the jungle. They stood twice as tall as humans, their scaled bodies rippling with muscle. Sharp teeth filled their mouths, and their claws could tear through metal. "Back to the shuttle!" Bora screamed. They ran. Behind them, the Ralkesh roared and gave chase. Jiwoo's lungs burned as she sprinted through the village. Laser fire exploded around them as the security team tried to cover their retreat. One blast hit a building beside Jiwoo, showering her with debris. She stumbled but kept running. The shuttle came into view ahead. Just 50 more meters, 40, 30. Something hit the ground near her feet and she fell hard. Her environmental suit protected her from the worst of it, but the impact knocked the wind from her lungs. Strong hands grabbed her arms and hauled her up. Han Sol pulled her forward while Bora provided covering fire. They reached the shuttle and threw themselves inside. The pilot didn't wait for the door to fully close before launching skyward. Through the window, Jiwoo watched the Ralkesh warriors shooting at them, their faces twisted in fury. "Everyone okay?" Bora asked, breathing hard. Jiwoo nodded, checking herself for injuries. That's when she felt it. Small claws digging into her back through the inner layer of her suit. Something alive moving against her spine. Her breath caught. Very slowly, she reached behind her. Her fingers touched something warm and scaly. It flinched at her touch but didn't let go. "Bora," she said carefully. "I need help. Don't make any sudden moves." The engineer's eyes widened as Jiwoo explained. Together they carefully opened the back of her suit. There, clinging desperately to her shirt, was a small Ralkesh infant. It couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. Its scales were still soft, not yet hardened. Its eyes, huge and frightened, stared up at them. "Oh no," Hansol whispered. "Oh no, no, no," the infant made a small chirping sound. Its tiny claws dug deeper into Jiwoo's clothing as if afraid she would drop it. Jiwoo's mind raced. The creature must have hidden in the nursery when its people fled. When she had been there, it had climbed onto her, seeking protection. Now it was aboard their ship and they were heading back to orbit. "Captain Daeho needs to know about this," Bora said quietly. As if summoned by her words, the captain's voice came through the communicator. But he wasn't calling about the infant. His voice carried pure panic. "All hands, battle stations. We have a massive warship entering the system. It's Ralkesh and it's powering weapons. I think they're looking for something." Jiwoo looked down at the small creature clinging to her. Its eyes met hers, trusting and afraid. She had spent years studying alien life, but nothing had prepared her for this moment. She held in her arms the offspring of the galaxy's most dangerous predators, and its family had just arrived with enough firepower to destroy her entire ship. The infant chirped again, softer this time. It pressed closer to her, seeking warmth and comfort. Despite everything, despite the danger and the fear, Jiwoo found herself gently stroking its small head. "It's going to be okay," she whispered, though she had no idea if that was true. Above them, the Ralkesh warship opened fire. The horizon's edge shook violently as another blast struck the shields. Red warning lights flashed throughout the ship, and alarms screamed from every direction. Jiwoo held the Ralkesh infant close to her chest as she ran through the corridors toward the medical bay. "Shields at 40%, the ship's computer announced in its calm voice, completely at odds with the chaos around them. Captain Daeho's voice echoed through the speakers. "This is War Leader Kravik of the Ralkesh Empire. Return what you have stolen, or we will destroy you." Jiwoo burst into the medical bay where Dr. Sung-ho was already preparing for casualties. The older doctor looked up, saw the infant in her arms, and his face went pale. "No," he said simply. "Get that thing off this ship." "It's hurt," Jiwoo said, laying the small creature on an examination table. Now that she could see it properly under the lights, she noticed blood on its side. A wound several days old by the look of it had become infected. "I don't care if it's dying," Sung-ho said firmly. "That's a Ralkesh. Its parents are trying to kill us right now. We need to jettison it immediately." The infant made a whimpering sound, so achingly similar to a human baby's cry that Jiwoo's heart clenched. Its small claws reached toward her, seeking comfort. "Look at it," Jiwoo pleaded. "It's just a child. An injured, scared child." Another blast rocked the ship. Sung-ho grabbed the edge of a counter to steady himself. Through the medical bay window, they could see the massive Ralkesh warship, 3 times the size of the horizon's edge. Its weapons glowed as they charged for another strike. Commander Hye-jin rushed into the medical bay, her military uniform crisp despite the chaos. "We need to discuss our options," she said, glancing at the infant. "The captain is trying to negotiate, but they're not listening. They just keep shooting." "Because we have their child," Jiwoo said. "They think we kidnapped it, didn't we?" Sung-ho asked sharply. "No. It climbed onto me by accident. I didn't even know it was there until we were in the shuttle." Pilot Taemin appeared in the doorway, his young face flushed with anger. "Why are we even talking about this? Throw it in an escape pod and launch it at them. Problem solved." "It will die," Jiwoo said flatly. "Look at this wound. It's infected badly. Without treatment, the infant has maybe 12 hours. So?" Taemin shot back. "Better it than us." "If we return a dead infant, they'll definitely kill us," Hye-jin said, her tactical mind working through scenarios. "Right now, they're holding back slightly. They could have destroyed us already, but they haven't. That means they want the child alive." Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. "Shields at 25%, the computer reported. Daeho's voice came through the communicator. "Dr. Jiwoo, report to the bridge immediately. They're demanding to see proof the infant is alive." Jiwoo carefully picked up the small creature. It curled against her, its breathing rapid and shallow. She could feel heat radiating from its body. The fever was getting worse. On the bridge, the main screen showed the interior of the Ralkesh warship. A massive female Ralkesh stood there, armor covering her scaled body. Her eyes, yellow and slit-pupiled, burned with barely controlled rage. "I am War Leader Kravik," the Ralkesh said through a translator. The device made her voice sound mechanical, but the fury came through clearly. "You have my offspring. Return it now. Your offspring?" Jiwoo stepped forward, holding the infant where the camera could see it. "This is your child?" Kravik's eyes locked onto the small creature. For a moment, something passed across her face. Relief? Fear? It vanished quickly, replaced by cold anger. "It lives," Kravik said. "This is good. Launch it to us in a pod. Do this and you may survive." "It's sick," Jiwoo said quickly. "Wounded and infected. If I put it in a pod now, it might not survive the transfer. Then its death will be your responsibility," Kravik growled. "And your species will pay." "Wait," Jiwoo said desperately. "Let me treat it first. Give me time to heal the wounds. Then I'll return your child to you healthy and safe." Kravik leaned closer to her screen. "Why would you do this?" "You are prey. We are predators. This is the natural order." "Because it's the right thing to do," Jiwoo said simply. "Your child is suffering. I can help." The war leader stared at her for a long moment. Finally she spoke. "You have 1 day. If my offspring dies, every human in this sector will burn. If you try to escape, I will hunt your species to extinction. Do you understand?" "I understand," Jiwoo said. The screen went black. Another blast struck the ship, but this one was different. Weaker. "They're backing off," Bora reported from the engineering station. "Not leaving, but they've stopped trying to destroy us." Daeho turned to Jiwoo. "You just bought us 24 hours. I hope you know what you're doing." Jiwoo looked down at the infant in her arms. Its eyes were closing, the fever pulling it toward unconsciousness. "So do I, Captain." Back in the medical bay, Sung-ho had reluctantly agreed to help. "I'm a doctor," he said stiffly. "Even if my patient is a monster." "It's not a monster," Jiwoo said, gently laying the infant on the table. "It's just a baby. They worked through the night." The wound was worse than Jiwoo had first thought. Some kind of toxin had infected it, possibly from a plant on the planet. Sung-ho had to synthesize an antibiotic from scratch, guessing at the alien physiology. Bora brought them data she had gathered from the village. "I found medical records in one of the buildings," she explained. "The Ralkesh had a plague sweep through their settlement. That's why it was abandoned. They evacuated quickly." This infant was left behind, Jiwoo realized. Its parent probably died in the plague trying to protect the nursery. The small creature stirred on the table, whimpering. Without thinking, Jiwoo began stroking its head, making soft sounds. To her surprise, the infant calmed. Its breathing steadied. "Interesting," Sung-ho muttered. "Its vitals improve when you touch it." Over the next hours, Jiwoo stayed by the infant's side. She talked to it softly, kept her hand on its small body, provided constant comfort. Slowly, the fever broke. The infection responded to the antibiotics. Color returned to its scales. By morning, the infant was able to sit up. It looked at Jiwoo with those huge eyes and made a chirping sound. Then it reached for her with its small claws. "It's imprinted on you," Bora said, watching from the doorway. "Look at how it follows your movements." "Ralkesh don't imprint," Heejin said. She had been reading through galactic databases all night. According to every record, they're born aggressive. They recognize their parents by scent alone, not behavior. "Maybe the records are wrong," Jiwoo suggested. She picked up the infant and it immediately snuggled against her chest, making contented sounds. Sung-ho shook his head. "This is unprecedented. No one has ever raised a Ralkesh infant before. We have no idea what's normal for them." The communicator crackled. "Time is up," Kravik's voice announced. "Prepare to transfer my offspring." Jiwoo carried the infant to the bridge. The crew watched nervously as she stood before the screen. Kravik appeared, her face unreadable. "Your child is healed," Jiwoo said. "The infection is gone. It's healthy now." She held up the infant so Kravik could see. The small creature looked at the screen and made a sound. Not the same sound it made for Jiwoo. This was different, uncertain. Kravik's eyes widened. "What have you done?" she whispered. "I saved its life," Jiwoo said, confused by the reaction. "No," Kravik said slowly. "You have done something else. Something impossible." She paused and spoke words that chilled everyone on the bridge. "My offspring responds to you as it should respond to me. This is not natural. This is not right." "I don't understand," Jiwoo said. "Neither do I," Kravik admitted. but I will come to your ship. We will speak. If this is a trick, you will die slowly. If it is not." She trailed off as if unable to finish the thought. The connection ended. Daeho looked at Jiwoo with concern. "What just happened?" he asked. Jiwoo held the small creature close, feeling its tiny heart beating against her chest. "I think," she said slowly, "we just did something no human has ever done before. We confused the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." The docking port hissed as it connected to the Ralkesh shuttle. Every human on the bridge held their breath. Han Sol and his security team stood ready with weapons, though everyone knew those weapons would be useless against Ralkesh warriors. "They're coming through," Bora whispered, watching her console. The airlock door opened. 3 massive Ralkesh warriors entered first, their scales dark as midnight, their claws gleaming. Each stood over 7 feet tall, their muscles clearly visible beneath their armor. They moved with the fluid grace of born predators, their eyes scanning for threats. Then Kravik stepped through. She was even larger than her warriors, her scales marked with scars from countless battles. A cape of some alien material draped across her shoulders, marking her rank. When she looked at the humans, her expression showed nothing but cold calculation. Jiwoo stepped forward, still holding the infant. The small creature chirped when it saw Kravik, but it didn't reach for her. Instead, it pressed closer to Jiwoo. Kravik's eyes narrowed. "You are the one called Jiwoo?" "Yes," Jiwoo said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "And you're Kravik. This is your child." "Show me," Kravik commanded. Jiwoo walked closer, though every instinct screamed at her to run. She could smell the Ralkesh now, a sharp scent like hot metal and earth. Kravik bent down, bringing her massive head level with the infant. The small creature looked at its mother and made a sound. Then it turned back to Jiwoo and made a completely different sound, the one it had been making all morning. The contented, safe sound. Kravik's expression changed. Something flickered across her face that looked almost like pain. She reached out one clawed hand toward her offspring. The infant flinched back against Jiwoo. "This is not possible," Kravik said softly. She looked at Jiwoo with something between confusion and anger. "What did you do to my child?" "I helped it," Jiwoo said. "I cleaned its wounds. I gave it medicine. I stayed with it through the night." "You touched it," Kravik said. "You held it." "Yes. It was scared and hurt. I couldn't just leave it alone." One of the Ralkesh warriors growled something in their language. Kravik responded sharply, silencing him. Then she turned back to Jiwoo. "You do not understand what you have done," Kravik said. "Among my people, young are raised hard. We do not coddle. We do not comfort. From birth, they learn that the universe is cruel. Only the strong survive." "That sounds terrible," Jiwoo said before she could stop herself. To her surprise, Kravik's mouth opened in what might have been a laugh. "Terrible? Perhaps. But it keeps us alive. It makes us strong. It is our way." She gestured to the infant. "But this one now knows softness. It knows gentle touch and kind sounds. This is not the Ralkesh way. Maybe the Ralkesh way isn't the only way," Jiwoo suggested carefully. Silence fell over the bridge. The Ralkesh warriors shifted, hands moving toward weapons. Captain Daeho took a step forward, ready to intervene, but Kravik held up one hand, stopping everyone. "Explain," she said. Jiwoo took a breath. "Your child was dying. The infection would have killed it within hours, but after I treated the wound, it healed faster when I stayed close. When I touched it gently, its heart rate steadied. When I spoke softly, its breathing calmed. The medical monitors showed it clearly." "Show me these monitors," Kravik demanded. Dr. Sung-ho brought up the data on a screen. Kravik studied it silently, her eyes moving across the information. Other Ralkesh crowded around looking at the strange human technology. "This is real?" Kravik asked. "Yes," Sung-ho confirmed. "I've never seen anything like it. Physical comfort actually accelerated the healing process." Kravik looked at her offspring again. The infant was playing with a strand of Jiwoo's hair, making happy sounds. It seemed completely content. "Among your people," Kravik said slowly. You raise your young with this softness? We hold them, Jiwoo said. We comfort them when they cry. We show them love. Love, Kravik repeated the word as if tasting it. This is a human concept. Don't your people love their children? Bora asked from her station. Kravik considered the question. We ensure they survive. We train them to fight. We prepare them for a harsh universe. But love? She shook her head. This is weakness. Is it? Jiwoo asked. She held up the infant. Your child is healthier now than when I found it. It's alert, active, learning quickly. Is that weakness? One of the warriors, a male with a scar across his snout, spoke in the Ralkesh language. Yoonji, the linguist, translated through her device. He says this is corruption, that the child is ruined. Kravik silenced the warrior with a look. She stepped closer to Jiwoo, close enough that Jiwoo could see the patterns in her scales. Close enough to kill her with one swipe. I propose something, Kravik said. A test. For 10 days you will keep my offspring. You will care for it in your human way. I will observe. At the end of 10 days, if my child is harmed or weakened, you all die, if what you claim is true. If this softness makes my child stronger. She paused. Then perhaps we have much to learn from each other. And if I refuse? Jiwoo asked. Then you return my child now, and we go our separate ways. But you must return. It now immediately without further treatment or contact. Kravik's eyes gleamed. We both know my offspring would not survive such a sudden separation. It is bonded to you. To tear it away now would damage its mind. Jiwoo understood. This wasn't really a choice. But she looked down at the small creature in her arms, at its trusting eyes, and realized she didn't want to refuse anyway. 10 days, she agreed. But you have to agree to a truce. No attacking my ship or crew. Agreed, Kravik said. My warriors and I will remain on your vessel. We will observe everything. Captain Daeho looked like he wanted to protest, but he nodded. Bora, prepare quarters for our guests. Over the next hours, a strange routine developed. Kravik followed Jiwoo everywhere, watching how she cared for the infant. The other Ralkesh warriors spread throughout the ship, studying the humans with obvious suspicion. In the medical bay, Kravik watched as Jiwoo fed the infant a mixture Sung-ho had created. The small creature ate eagerly, making happy sounds between bites. Among my people, Kravik said, young feed themselves from the moment they can walk. If they cannot, they do not eat. That's cruel, Jiwoo said without thinking. It is survival, Kravik corrected. The universe is cruel. We prepare our young for reality. But what if there's another way? Jiwoo asked. She wiped the infant's mouth gently. What if being kind to children makes them stronger, not weaker? Kravik had no answer for that. In the engineering section, something unexpected happened. Bora was working on repairs from the earlier battle when one of the Ralkesh warriors approached. He pointed to a damaged panel and spoke. He says he can fix that, Yoonji translated. Their ships use similar systems. Bora hesitated, then handed him a tool. The Ralkesh warrior studied it, then began working on the panel with surprising skill. Within minutes, he had repaired damage that would have taken Bora hours. She stared. That was impressive. The warrior made a sound that might have been approval. He pointed to another damaged section. Together, they began working side by side. In the galley, pilot Taemin found himself sharing a meal with two Ralkesh warriors. They studied human food with obvious suspicion. Try it, Taemin said, pushing a plate toward them. It's not poisoned. One warrior sniffed the food, then carefully took a bite. His eyes widened. He took another bite, then said something in his language. He says it's sweet, Yoonji translated. Ralkesh food is mostly bland. They've never tasted anything like this. Taemin grinned. Wait until you try dessert. On the bridge, Commander Haijin and Kravik stood together, studying star charts. They had been discussing trade routes when Haijin pointed to a system. We lost 3 ships there last year, she said. Pirates. Kravik's eyes narrowed. These pirates, they trouble you often? Too often, Yejin admitted. They would not dare attack a Ralkesh ship, Kravik said thoughtfully. Perhaps if human ships traveled with Ralkesh escort? Are you suggesting an alliance? Yejin asked carefully. I am suggesting, Kravik said slowly, that perhaps we have been too quick to see all other species as enemies. In Jiwoo's quarters that night, she laid the infant in a makeshift bed. Kravik sat nearby, watching silently. The small creature reached for Jiwoo, not wanting her to leave. She sat beside it, stroking its head until it fell asleep. This is what you do every night? Kravik asked. Yes, Jiwoo said. Children need to feel safe to sleep well. Kravik watched her offspring sleeping peacefully. It has never slept so calmly, she admitted quietly. Even before the plague, it was always restless, always alert. Because it was always afraid, Jiwoo said gently. Kravik looked at her sharply, but didn't argue. They sat in silence, watching the infant sleep, each lost in their own thoughts about what the next days might bring. Day 3 of the truce brought unexpected changes to the horizon's edge. The ship felt different now, less like a vessel under siege and more like an awkward meeting place between two worlds. Jiwoo woke to find Kravik already in her quarters, watching the infant sleep. The massive Ralkesh leader sat perfectly still, her eyes fixed on her offspring with an expression Jiwoo was learning to read. Longing mixed with confusion. It smiled at me yesterday, Kravik said without looking away from the sleeping child. Not the fear grin our young show. A real smile, like it was happy to see me. That's good, Jiwoo said, sitting up carefully to avoid waking the infant. Is it? Kravik turned to face her. For 3 days I have watched you care for my child. I have seen it grow stronger, healthier, more alert. The medical scans confirm everything you claimed, but I have also seen it become something no Ralkesh child has ever been. What do you mean? It is gentle, Kravik said, and the word sounded strange in her voice. It plays instead of fights. It seeks comfort instead of proving its strength. Is this truly better, or have you simply made it weak? Before Jiwoo could answer, the infant woke. It saw Kravik and made its happy chirping sound. Then it reached for her with its small claws. Kravik froze. It wants me to hold it? I think so, Jiwoo said. Slowly, awkwardly, Kravik picked up her offspring. The infant snuggled against her armored chest, completely trusting. Kravik's hands, which could crush steel, held the small creature with unexpected gentleness. I do not know what to do, Kravik admitted quietly. Just hold it, Jiwoo said. That's enough. They sat together as the ship's artificial dawn brightened the room. Kravik held her child, and slowly, carefully, she began stroking its head the way she had seen Jiwoo do. The infant made a sound of pure contentment. In the engineering section, the partnership between Bora and the Ralkesh warrior named Rek had produced remarkable results. Together they had not only repaired all battle damage but had improved several systems. Your species thinks in curves, Rek said through the translator. His grasp of human language was improving daily. You make things complex but flexible. My people think in straight lines, strong, simple, direct. Together we're making something better than either approach alone, Bora realized, looking at their work. Your strength combined with our flexibility. Rek made a sound that Bora had learned was Ralkesh approval. Yes, this is good. Why do our peoples not work together before now? Fear, maybe, Bora suggested. We were afraid of you. You thought we were weak. You are weak, Rek said matter-of-factly. Your bodies break easily, but... He gestured to their repairs. Weak body does not mean weak mind. This is new concept for Ralkesh. In the galley, something remarkable was happening. Pilot Timon had taught 3 Ralkesh warriors to play cards. The game had started as a way to pass time, but it had become a bridge. You're cheating, Timon accused the warrior across from him. The Ralkesh, whose name was Dreth, showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. Ralkesh do not cheat. We simply play better. That's exactly what a cheater would say. But Timon was grinning as he said it. The other warriors laughed, a sound that made nearby humans turn and stare. No one had ever heard Ralkesh laugh before. Dr. Sung-ho was making his own discoveries in the medical bay. He had been studying the infant's development with Kravik's permission, and the results fascinated him. Look at this. He showed Jiwoo on his screen. The infant's brain activity. These patterns here show advanced problem-solving developing much earlier than Ralkesh medical records indicate is normal. Because it's not constantly stressed, Jiwoo said, understanding. A child that feels safe can use its energy to learn instead of just survive. Exactly, Sung-ho agreed. And there's more. Its immune system is stronger. Its reflexes are faster. Every physical marker is better than the baseline for Ralkesh young. He paused. I was wrong, Jiwoo. This isn't making the infant weak. It's making it stronger in ways the Ralkesh never considered. But not everyone was accepting the changes. On the 5th day, a Ralkesh warrior named Gresh confronted Kravik on the bridge. He spoke in rapid Ralkesh, his voice angry. Yoonji translated hurriedly. He says you're betraying Ralkesh values, that the child is being corrupted, that humans are dangerous to their way of life. Kravik's response was cold and sharp, but Gresh wouldn't back down. He pointed at the infant, which was playing with a soft toy Bora had made for it. The toy was nothing like traditional Ralkesh objects, which were all hard and sharp to teach toughness. This is weakness, Gresh snarled in broken human language. Child needs strength training, not soft human things. The child is 3 weeks old, Jiwoo said firmly. There's time for training later. Right now it needs to be healthy. You know nothing of Ralkesh. Gresh stepped toward her aggressively. You make child soft? Soft gets killed. Captain Daeho moved to intervene, but Kravik was faster. She placed herself between Gresh and Jiwoo, her posture radiating authority. Stand down, Kravik commanded. No, Gresh said. This wrong. I challenge. Traditional combat. Winner decides child's future. A murmur went through both the Ralkesh and human crews.
Jiwoo's heart sank.
She knew about Ralkesh challenges. They were fights to the death. I accept your challenge, Kravik said coldly. But not here, not now. The human ship is neutral ground during truce. Then we go to our ship, Gresh insisted. We settle this Ralkesh way. No, a small voice said. Everyone turned. The infant had walked over to Gresh on its unsteady legs. It looked up at the massive warrior with its huge eyes and spoke again. One word clear and unmistakable in both Ralkesh and human language. No. The bridge fell silent. The infant was only 3 weeks old. It shouldn't be speaking at all, let alone in 2 languages. The infant turned to Jiwoo and held up its arms, wanting to be picked up. She lifted it carefully. Then the small creature did something unprecedented. It looked at Gresh and made a sound that was distinctly Ralkesh, a sound of challenge. Did that infant just challenge a warrior? Bora whispered in shock. Vrek stepped forward, his translator crackling. Child says Gresh is wrong. Says Jiwoo is pack mother. Says any who hurt pack mother must go through child first. It's protecting her, Heejin said in amazement. A 3-week-old infant is protecting a human. Gresh stared at the infant, clearly shocked. Then his hand moved toward his weapon. This proves corruption. Child thinks human is mother. This is unnatural. Everything happened fast. Gresh drew his blade and lunged toward Jiwoo. Han Sol and his security team raised weapons. The other Ralkesh warriors moved to stop Gresh. But the infant was fastest. The small creature launched itself from Jiwoo's arms directly at Gresh's face. Its tiny claws raked across his eyes. Gresh roared in pain and surprise, stumbling backward. The infant landed on the deck and stood between him and Jiwoo, hissing in pure fury. Kravik moved like lightning. Her blade flashed once and Gresh fell, his eyes wide with shock. He hit the deck and didn't move. Silence fell over the bridge. Kravik cleaned her blade slowly, deliberately. Then she spoke in Ralkesh, her voice carrying to all her warriors. Honji translated, her voice shaking. Let it be known. This human Jiwoo is now bond mother to my offspring. Any who harm her harm my child. Any who harm my child answer to me. This is Ralkesh law, unchanged for 10,000 years. Though no outsider has ever been named bond mother, the law does not forbid it. She turned to Jiwoo. In our culture, bond mother is sacred. It is the one who raises a child, who protects it, who teaches it to survive. Usually this is the birth mother. But sometimes when a mother dies, another takes the role. She gestured to the infant, which had climbed back into Jiwoo's arms and was clinging tightly. My child is chosen. I accept this choice. What does this mean? Captain Daeho asked carefully. It means, Kravik said, that Jiwoo is now part of Ralkesh clan. It means my offspring has 2 mothers. It means... She paused, seeming to struggle with the concept. It means everything I thought I knew about raising young might be wrong. The infant made a happy sound and reached for Kravik. When the war leader took it, the small creature touched her face gently, then reached back to touch Jiwoo's hand, connecting them both. Two mothers, Kravik repeated softly, looking at her child with wonder. One Ralkesh, one human. Teaching different strengths. She met Jiwoo's eyes. Perhaps this is not corruption. Perhaps this is evolution. Rex stepped forward and spoke in Ralkesh. The other warriors nodded in agreement. What did he say? Jiwoo asked. Yunji smiled as she translated. He says if the smallest among them can be brave enough to defend a human, perhaps the rest of them can be brave enough to change. That night, as Jiwoo put the infant to bed, Kravik stayed to watch. The small creature reached for both of them, wanting both mothers close. They sat on either side of the makeshift bed, and the infant fell asleep holding both their hands. I do not know what comes next, Kravik admitted. My people will not understand this. Many will call me traitor. Some of my people won't understand either, Jiwoo said. But look at what we've accomplished in 5 days. Your warriors and my crew are working together, learning from each other. Yes, Kravik agreed, and it is good. But good is not always enough. The galaxy fears change. Then maybe, Jiwoo said, looking at the sleeping infant, we need to show them that change can be beautiful. The message came on day 8. Both human and Ralkesh authorities had learned about what was happening aboard the Horizon's Edge, and neither was pleased. Captain Daeho read the transmission from Earth Command with growing concern. They're ordering us to return immediately. They say we've violated first contact protocols and endangered humanity by fraternizing with the Ralkesh. Across the bridge, Kravik listened to her own message through a Ralkesh communication device. Her expression darkened. The High Command calls me traitor. They say I have dishonored our people by allowing humans to corrupt Ralkesh young. They order me to destroy your ship and return home for judgment. So we're both in trouble, Bora said from her station. It's worse than that, Yejin added, her tactical display showing new contacts. We have incoming ships, multiple vessels, both human and Ralkesh. On the screen, dozens of ships emerged from faster-than-light travel. Human destroyers on one side, Ralkesh warships on the other. Both fleets moved into attack positions with the Horizon's Edge trapped in the middle. They're going to fight, Taemin said, his voice tight with tension. And we're right in the crossfire. Jiwoo held the infant close, feeling its small heart beating rapidly. The creature could sense the tension, making worried sounds. In the past 8 days, it had grown so much. It could walk steadily now, speak simple words in both languages, and even help with basic tasks. It had become part of the crew, beloved by humans and Ralkesh alike. There has to be another way, Jiwoo said. A new transmission came through. A human woman appeared on screen, her formal diplomat's uniform perfectly pressed. I am Ambassador Yunseo of the Galactic Council. Captain Daeho, you are ordered to surrender your vessel for inspection. All Ralkesh aboard your ship are to be taken into custody. Before Daeho could respond, another transmission overlaid it. A massive Ralkesh male covered in ceremonial armor appeared. I am High Commander Torvik. War Leader Kravik, you have brought shame to our people. Return immediately to face judgment. No, Kravik said simply. Torvik's eyes widened in shock. You dare refuse a direct order? I dare, Kravik said. I have seen things in the past 8 days that challenge everything we believe. I will not abandon this path until I understand it fully. Yunseo cut back in. Captain Daeho, if you do not comply, we will board your vessel by force. This situation threatens the stability of the entire sector. How? Daeho demanded. By showing that two species can work together? By proving that cooperation is possible? By ignoring centuries of precedent, Yunseo snapped. The Ralkesh are dangerous. They've destroyed ships, killed thousands. You can't just decide to be friends with them. Why not? The question came from Jiwoo. She stepped forward, still holding the infant. Ambassador, with respect, when was the last time anyone tried? Really tried to understand them? Dr. Jiwoo, this is not your concern, Yunseo said dismissively. It absolutely is my concern, Jiwoo shot back. Do you know what I'm holding? This is War Leader Kravik's child. I've spent 8 days caring for it, studying it, learning from it. And do you know what I've discovered? Ralkesh aren't monsters. They're people. Different from us, yes, but not evil. On the other screen, Torvik growled. Humans are weak. They make our young weak. The infant in Jiwoo's arms made an angry sound. It wriggled free and walked to stand in front of the screen showing Torvik. Then in clear Ralkesh it spoke several sentences. Vrek translated, barely suppressing what might have been amusement. The child says High Commander is old fool. Says human-taught Ralkesh are stronger, smarter, faster than old-way Ralkesh. Challenges High Commander to prove otherwise. An infant challenges me? Torvik's voice dripped with disbelief. A 3-week-old infant who can already speak 2 languages and has twice the cognitive development of normal Ralkesh young. Dr. Sung-ho interjected. He pulled up medical data on the screens. Look at these scans. This child, raised with human methods, shows superior development in every measurable category. Yunseo studied the data with obvious skepticism. This could be fabricated. It's not, Sung-ho said firmly. I've been a doctor for 30 years. I stake my reputation on this data. Kravik spoke up, her voice carrying authority. I also confirm this truth. My offspring is stronger than any Ralkesh child I have known. Healthier, more intelligent. The human way of raising young is not weakness. It is different kind of strength. Impossible, Torvik said, but his voice carried less certainty. Is it? Kravik challenged. When did you last hold your own young, High Commander? When did you comfort them? Teach them with patience instead of pain. Our way makes warriors, yes, but at what cost? Silence fell over both fleets. Through the windows, Jiwoo could see the ships hovering, weapons charged but not firing. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. Bora spoke quietly from her station. We have another problem. Both fleets are moving closer. Even if they don't mean to fight, one mistake could start a war. Then we need to give them a reason not to fight, Heejin said. She looked at Kravik. You said your people value strength above all? Yes, Kravik confirmed. And humans value innovation, cooperation, progress, Heejin continued. What if we could show both our peoples that combining these values makes us all stronger? How? Daeho asked. Heejin smiled. We show them what we've accomplished in 8 days. The repairs Bora and Vrek made together, the medical advances Dr. Sung-ho achieved, the cultural understanding Yoonji developed. We show them proof that cooperation works. Jiwoo understood immediately. We make them an offer. A joint research station. A place where humans and Ralkesh can work together, learn from each other. They will never agree, Torvik said. But he was listening, won't they? Jiwoo held up the infant. This child is proof it can work. Your people fear weakness, Commander Torvik. But what's weaker? Staying isolated and stagnant? Or being brave enough to change and grow? The infant chose that moment to do something remarkable. It walked to the screen showing Torvik, placed one small hand on it and spoke. This time Yoonji didn't need to translate. The child spoke in human language clear enough for everyone to understand. Not weak. Strong. 2 mothers make strong. 2 peoples make strong, please, try. The simple plea from a 3-week-old child silenced both fleets. Jiwoo saw Yoonseo's expression soften slightly. Even Torvik seemed affected. A trial period, Kravik suggested. Not a full alliance yet. Just a research station. Volunteers from both species. If it fails, we part ways. If it succeeds, she let the possibility hang in the air. And if it fails violently? Yunseo asked. If this cooperation leads to conflict? Then we will be no worse off than we are now, Daeho said. But if it succeeds, we gain an ally. More than that, we prove that the galaxy doesn't have to be divided into predators and prey. Vrek stepped forward, speaking in Ralkesh. Other Ralkesh warriors aboard the Horizon's Edge joined him, their voices unified. What are they saying? Yunseo asked. They're volunteering, Yoonji translated, her voice emotional. They want to be part of this research station. They say they've learned more in 8 days with humans than in years among their own kind. Bora stood up. I volunteer too. If they're willing to try, so am I. One by one, members of the human crew stood, Taemin, Hansol, even Dr. Sung-ho, though he still looked skeptical. I volunteer, Jiwoo said. Someone needs to continue studying how our species can raise young together. She looked down at the infant, which smiled up at her. And I'm not ready to say goodbye yet. Kravik placed her massive hand gently on Jiwoo's shoulder. Nor am I ready to lose my child's bondmother. The weight of the moment pressed down on everyone. 2 fleets, dozens of ships, thousands of lives, all balanced on this decision. Finally, Yunseo spoke.
I'm not authorized to approve this, but... She paused, seeming to struggle with herself.
But I'm also not willing to start a war over it. I'll recommend to the council that we allow a trial station. 1 year. If there's any incident, any sign of danger, we shut it down immediately. All eyes turned to Torvik. The High Commander stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he looked at Kravik, at the infant, at the united crew. 1 year, he growled. But I will send observers. If humans are corrupting our young, if this is a trick, it's not a trick, Kravik said firmly. It is evolution, and evolution cannot be stopped. Torvik's expression remained hard, but he nodded. 1 year. Do not make me regret this, war leader. The transmissions ended. Both fleets slowly began to withdraw. The tension that had gripped the bridge for hours finally released. Several crew members actually cheered. We did it, Bora said, disbelief in her voice. We actually did it, we did something, Deho corrected. Now we have to make it work over the next weeks. The Horizon Initiative took shape. A small station was constructed in neutral space, staffed by volunteers from both species. Jiwoo became its director with Kravik as security chief. The infant, whom they officially named Kai, became a symbol of what cooperation could achieve. More ships came, drawn by curiosity. Other species heard about the impossible alliance and wanted to see for themselves. Some came skeptical, others hopeful. 5 years later, the station had grown into a thriving community. Dozens of young Ralkesh grew up learning from both human and Ralkesh teachers. Human children played with Ralkesh young in gardens that hadn't existed before.